Welcome to DEMOCREPUBLIX, where we cover the real news that matter to we the people. Deep State FBI helped Hillary Clinton erase and Bleachbit data off laptops and hammer her phones. Front Page Mag reports that there's new evidence unveiled disturbing facts about Hillary Clinton email scandal. In breaking news, the American Center for Law and Justice, or ACLJ, has obtained actual copies of the immunity agreement pertaining to Cheryl Mills and Heather Samuelson and the Hillary email scandal. This was a stunning litigation win, hard fought after years of litigation by the ACLJ attorneys, who were unable to extract the documents through the normal FOIA process due to lack of cooperation by the government. In reviewing what the agreements uncovered, keep in mind that Cheryl Mills was Secretary Clinton's chief of staff at the State Department, and then bizarrely she subsequently served as Clinton's attorney representing her in the email scandal. Heather Samuelson worked on the Hillary Clinton's 2008 campaign and then became senior advisor to her at the State Department as well as the White House liaison. Somehow she also became one of the Clintons' personal attorneys during the email scandal. The immunity agreements issued by the government were crafted so that the agencies could extract information from the parties, despite the fact that this is not necessary because DOJ has power to require that the information be turned over. Clinton kept classified emails on a private server in violation of federal law, and the immunity agreements revealed that both Cheryl Mills and Heather Samuelson were actively involved in the cover-up of these emails as well as in the destruction of evidence. According to Jordan Sekulow, executive director of the ACLJ, it is extremely unusual for someone involved in a criminal cover-up who needs an immunity deal to ensure the evasion of jail time later becomes the attorney representing the other potential criminal or co-conspirator. The agreement issued were with the DOJ and FBI. They asserted that Mills and Samuelson would turn over the computers to them, but stipulated that they weren't turning over custody and control. This critical point is a legal and factual bunch of bunk. The FOIA statute applies to information in agencies, custody and control. Anything not in their custody or control cannot be FOIA'd. It is impossible to have an agency physically have a computer and not have it in their custody or control. Custody and control is not something that suspects have to expressly give or agree to give over. When they give over the evidence, then obviously, as a matter of fact, they are also giving the agency custody and control over that evidence. Suspects cannot withhold custody and control by mere words or lack of consent, as consent is not required. In other words, these agreements are extremely flawed, and whomever signed off on them should be investigated and perhaps prosecuted. It is clear that the purpose of this clause was to make the arguably illegal activities of Mills and Samuelson out of the reach of FOIA. In other words, it would be withheld from public. This is the very definition of corruption. So they basically withholding a bunch of the information so it doesn't get out, so that when people like the ACLJ, when they do FOIA requests, they won't have the information to hand over. Additionally, the immunity agreements were broad in scope. There were numerous charges that the agreements gave them immunity from, including potential violations of Federal Records Act, the Classified Information Act, and the Espionage Act, according to the ACLJ. Nobody has ever gotten immunity from the Espionage Act. Normally, immunity is for lesser crimes like obstruction of justice, but not espionage. If Mills and Samuelson were charged and convicted of every crime from which they received immunity, they would be potentially subject to 28 years of jail each. Wow, that's why they got a sweet immunity deal, because they know if they would have went to court for this, they would have flipped and told on the Mills and Samuelson would have told everything. That's why they gave them that sweetheart deal. After Clinton illegally sent classified emails on a private server and cell phones, and by the way, people have gone to jail for this even when they did so accidentally because it's that serious. And after Mills and Samuelson purposely worked to cover up and conceal both the emails and the destruction of evidence, and after they were given a sweetheart deal that nobody in history has ever gotten, they became the attorneys for Clinton, representing her in the email case. This shouldn't be allowed because it is a conflict of interest, and not only gives the appearance of impropriety, but indeed constitutes actual impropriety. No joke. So they got the sweetheart deal for after busting up the emails and busting up the cell phones and computers and stuff like that. They got immunity, and then after they got immunity, they went and represented Hillary in her email case. Subsequently, Mills and Samuelson finally gave the computers over to the FBI, which per their agreement limited the FBI's investigation. The FBI agreed to limit A, the method by which the emails investigated would be obtained, and B, the scope of files which would be investigated, C, the time frame parameters for investigated emails. In other words, the FBI agreed in the immunity contract not to do a full investigation on the Clinton emails. To make matters worse again, per the immunity agreement, the FBI agreed to destroy the computers that had the backup emails. As Congressman Jim Jordan referenced during the Mueller hearings recently, the FBI used Bleachbit to purge the server so that the information would never be accessed in the future, and used hammers to smash the cell phones involved. In other words, the FBI and DOJ participated in the destruction of evidence. In effect, this constitutes is a conspiracy between the Obama DOJ under Loretta Lynch and the Comey-led FBI to cover up Clinton crimes. It's despicable. This is sick. It's sick that they got away with this. Shortly thereafter, Comey came out publicly and held a press conference exonerating Clinton and from any criminal activity, knowing full well that she was never thoroughly investigated and that his own agency had participated in the destruction of evidence. To reiterate Comey's assertions, he stated that Clinton had been extremely careless in her handling of classified and sensitive information, but not grossly negligent. Even though the definition of grossly negligent is extremely careless, I mean, it's the sick legalese stuff. Gross negligence is the language in the statute necessary to prosecute someone who does this, and Comey inaccurately professed that no prosecutor would pursue a case based on these facts, even though those with lesser evidence have been indeed charged. Currently, there are investigations taking place pertaining to the Clinton email scandal cover-up, as well as origins of the Trump investigation by the Mueller team, including the roots of the FISA application. All of the documents uncovered by the ACLJ's legal wing will constitute valuable evidence for AG Barr, the IG, and others, many of who follow what is really going on a day-to-day basis, have been repeatedly disappointed in the bias and one-sided investigations and the cover-up or blatant disregard of critical facts implicating the pro-Clinton, anti-Trump teams. But Bill Barr and his team are fairly new to the process. He and others, including John Durham, will finally have the opportunity to get to the bottom of all this and finally disclose the real collusion, corruption, and obstruction. There's still hope. Yeah, there's still some hope, but them not charging Comey the other day after the IG suggested prosecution, I don't understand. I don't understand why Bill Barr is not prosecuting. You got people like Rush Limbaugh that's saying that they're holding out for bigger crimes, and I think Dan Bongino believes the same thing. I understand why I think it's wishful thinking. I don't think Bill Barr. I mean, I had hopes for a second that Bill Barr is gonna take down some of this deep state, but after not prosecuting Comey, with him being caught with classified memos in his home, I don't even know if it's any hope still of them taking down the deep state. But we'll see. I'm gonna try to stay optimistic, but this kind of set me back a little bit. But let me know what you think. Do you think they're gonna take down? Do you think Bill Barr's gonna take down the deep state, or not? Leave your comments below. Like, share, and subscribe. And as always, check out DEMOCREPUBLIX.com for the latest in news. Till next time. We living on a really nightmare. We living on a really nightmare.